Think about the best meal from your childhood. Maybe it's a Sunday roast, or the precise blend of spices your mother used for family gatherings. Now imagine sitting down to eat it, knowing that after you take the last bite, you will never experience that exact taste again. That was the reality for a man driving down National Highway 24. It was 2:30 in the morning. He was coming off a long shift, navigating those lonely roads and the heavy glare of long-haul trucks, heading toward a familiar stop. He pulled into a small roadside dhaba he had frequented for years. It was unremarkable, just a place for cheap food and strong chai, but it was always open late. People seek out these late-night spots because they are predictable. When the rest of your life feels chaotic, there is a deep comfort in a booth that never changes and a menu that always stays the same. But on this night, the pattern broke. The waiter, an older man who had been there forever, didn't hand him the menu. He just stood there with a quiet, knowing smile. The waiter announced a new rule for the night. The kitchen would only serve the one meal the patron was about to lose from their life forever. The man assumed it was a joke. He laughed and ordered his usual paneer butter masala, extra butter, and a cold coffee. When the food arrived, it was perfect. The butter melted exactly right, and the spices hit with the same intensity he remembered from his mother's Sunday cooking. It was the best version of the dish he had ever tasted. He sat in the booth savoring the nostalgia. But the perfection of the meal was unsettling. If the waiter was telling the truth, this flavor wasn't a gift, it was a warning that something was about to go wrong. This perfection isn't the result of a talented chef. Instead, the kitchen creates these flavors by physically extracting them from a person's deepest memories. The taste is perfect because it is being pulled directly from the mind. Halfway through the meal, the waiter returned. He quietly told the man that his wife was going to leave him next month. The waiter explained that she would take the recipe with her when she moved back to her parents. That was the logistical reality. After tonight, the man would never eat paneer butter masala like this again. The man froze. He and his wife had been fighting, but he'd assumed it was the normal friction of a long relationship. Now, looking at the plate, he realized those small arguments had actually been the quiet end of his marriage. The dhaba doesn't just serve food, it serves a future the patron hasn't accepted yet. It forces a person to sit in a lonely booth and mourn a loss they didn't even know they were about to suffer. The man looked around the room and saw he wasn't alone. An old man sat nearby, eating plain dal chawal with tears in his eyes. The waiter explained that this was the exact meal the old man ate on the day his son stopped speaking to him. Tonight was the last time he would ever experience that taste the way it used to be. Feeling sick, the protagonist asked what would happen if he just stopped. What if he left the plate unfinished? The transaction has two paths. Path A is to walk away. The meal remains unfinished, losing the physical experience, but preserving the memory. Path B is the trade. Finish the plate for one last perfect taste, and the memory is deleted. Despite the weight of every bite, the man chose to finish the plate. He prioritized the immediate craving for one last perfect moment over the long-term preservation of his own history. The next morning, the man tried to recreate the meal in his own kitchen. It tasted like regular restaurant food. The extra butter magic and the rush of childhood nostalgia were completely gone. His wife asked him why he was being so quiet. He couldn't tell her that he'd already eaten his final meal with her and that he'd already paid for it. The dhaba's bills simply read, "Paid in full." By choosing to have that one final, perfect experience, he had successfully erased the very joy the memory used to provide him. We often feel a drive to have one last experience, a final goodbye or a final taste, to put a definitive end to a chapter of our lives. We think that one perfect moment will give us peace. But if you ever find yourself at a roadside stop at 2 a.m. and you're offered a final taste of home, walk away from the table. Some things are better left unfinished. The slow, natural fading of a memory is far kinder than consuming it all at once.